Hey guys, and welcome back to another video with the two favorite book nerds, Amy
and Kelly.
Today we're going to be talking about all the books that we read in April.
Yay!
How many?
I gotta write it down because otherwise I'll have to keep counting.
Oh gosh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
13!
I don't know why I'm on the Sesame Street kick. I have no idea. Okay.
Alright, well, since you were the big reader of the month of April, you want to kick it off?
I will do that. So I read 7 books. Yay! I read in the Dresden Files series, book 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, so 5 of my 7.
Oh my.
Yeah. And I gave each of those 4 stars. And then I read Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, which is the second in the Murderbot series. And I gave that one 4 stars. And then we read The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. And I gave it 5 stars.
Woo!
Yeah. So that was an average of 4.14 stars for April.
That's a really good read month.
It was a really good read month. Yeah.
Well, I read 2 books in April.
Hey, you still haven't beat my worst month, which was 1 book.
Well,
I read 1 book in January.
I snuck that second one in the
didn't even like it.
Yeah, no. I didn't like the books I read in April. So I read 13 by Steve Kavanaugh, which I gave 3 stars, I think. Maybe it was 2.5. Goodreads told me 3, but the more I think about it, I think it was 2.5.
Yeah, we did not like that book.
No. And then I also read Keep It in the Family by John Mars, which I gave 3 stars. My average, I'm going to say, was 3 stars for the month of April.
Average.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I read 2,922 pages for an average length of 418 pages. My shortest book was Artificial Condition at 149. And my longest book was Proven Guilty by Jim Butcher, which was number 8 in the Dresden Files series.
I read 703 pages for an average book length of 352 pages. My longest was Keep It in the Family at 380 pages. Sounds about right. And my shortest was 13 at 323.
Huh.
Never would have guessed that, right?
Imagine that. All right. So I had, for genres, 1 sci-fi, 1 horror, and 5 fantasy.
I had 2 thrillers.
Authors. Every single one was a repeat author this month. So I had, Stephen Graham Jones, Martha Wells, and Jim Butcher. Obviously, I read multiples of Jim Butcher, and I've read from all of them before. I will continue to read from all of them.
I was going to say, as you should.
Yes.
You should.
Yes.
Alright, both of the authors that I read from in April were new to me, and I'm not convinced I'm going to read from them again. I might, but I will not reach for them.
Formats. 6 of them were ebooks. Yeah. 6 were ebooks, and then 1 I read the physical book and listened to the audiobook also, which I highly recommend.
Yeah, The Buffalo Hunter.
The Buffalo Hunter audiobook is amazing.
Primo. The audiobook gets a 5-star rating on its own.
So I did half and half, and after I listened to the audiobook the first time, I was hearing their accents while I was reading physically. After that, it was really cool. Mm-hmm. It was really cool. And I really want to go back and do an immersion read where I read at the same time I'm listening, which would be awesome with this book.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I had 1 audiobook. Was that one audiobook? Yes, it was an audiobook. And then I had, the other one was audio, ebook, and physical.
Oh.
We had a mixture of all three.
However it got it done, huh?
Yep. All three ways sucked. But I finished it.
Okay.
Penny! Come here, Miss Girl.
What you doing, Pain Girl? Kitty, kitty, kitty.
Hello, Miss.
Oh, there you are, over there.
Hello, Miss.
Okay. The books.
The
books. All right, so first of all, the Buffalo Hunter, I'm not going to talk about because we did a buddy read for this, and we will have that video up next week, probably, or at least this month. So you can, I'm not going to spoil it. No, spoil it. I don't even know how I could spoil it. I guess,
I mean,
it's a horror novel about a Lutheran minister's journal from 1912 is found when they're like tearing down a building or something. It's found packed in the wall. And so this book is that journal. And it is the pastor talking about his daily life, but it's also, half of it is telling the story of this Indian named Goodstab. And so it's billed as a revenge story. I'll just say that. Yeah, I'll just say that. Okay. And then Artificial Condition by Martha Wells is the second in the Murderbot series. I liked this one a lot more than I liked the first one. So Murderbot is a security unit, kind of an android bot. And normally they're obviously programmed to do something, but because of an event in its past, Murderbot has hacked into its governor module, and so it basically gave itself free will. Nice. And it's trying to hide that fact, but it's really interesting. Murderbot is just definitely an introvert. All it really wants to do is sit and watch its downloaded media. So basically it wants to Netflix and chill all the time. That's like all it really wants to do. But it just keeps, because it's a security unit, it just keeps having to go out and save people.
How annoying.
Yeah, because the company that, I think they call it the company that owns these security units, they will contract out with these units to provide, obviously, basic security. So the first one, Murderbot was sent out to a distant planet to provide security for this group of, I think it was geologists. And they uncovered something they shouldn't have uncovered, and they had to go for it. I didn't like that one as much because there was a lot of setup. They're short, they're just novellas. And there was a whole lot of setup, and then the action was like boom at the end and it was over. This one was a lot more spaced out. So Murderbot is trying to figure out this event that happened in their past, if it was their fault that it happened, like if they went rogue, or if it was someone made them do it, like it was a program that made them do it. It was a bad event. I think it would probably be spoiling to say. But there's a reason it's called Murderbot. Let's just say that. And so it goes to this other mining planet because it's where the event happened. And so this is about Murderbot trying to get there, and befriending along the way in order to get onto the planet has to take a contract from another group of people who need security. They need to go to this meeting and they feel like they need a bodyguard. Nice. And so Murderbot takes on this contract in order to get to the planet. So it's a lot packed in.
Yeah, it sounds
for
like
this little bitty book. So anyway, I think it was just a lot more spaced out. The action the pacing was better. Murderbot continues to just be hilarious in that it's like, God, okay, here we go. I guess we'll do it. And everything, it was a nice self-contained story, but yet you found out more about the overarching story about what happened in Murderbot's past. And and go on there. And Murderbot makes a robot friend. I know, it was great. So all in all, I thought it was really good. So 4 stars, and they're actually adapting it. It's going to be on Apple TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't have Apple TV.
I don't either, but I
know.
figure it'll be on Netflix shortly. So
Hopefully so.
So I got to get all of them read so that I can watch that. Okay, so then the next 5 books I read are in the Dresden Files series, which centers around Harry Dresden, who is Chicago's only professional wizard. He even advertises in the Yellow Pages. And these are all set like way back. So, you know, yes, Yellow Pages were a thing, people. And also, being a wizard, magic doesn't work with technology, so Harry can't have things like cell phones or TVs or internet, anything like that, because his magic will just short it out and it won't work. So he does kind of live in the past anyway. So this is like, each one of these books he's a private eye basically, and so there's a very you know, dark noir detective feel to most of them. There is an enormous cast of characters that go in and out of these books. So yeah, it's just, the further you go in the series, the harder it is to talk about because you can't spoil things. But anyway, I started this month with number 4 in the series, which is called Summer Night. And basically Harry gets hired by the Queen of the Winter Fairies, Mab, and she wants to hire him to basically prove that she did not commit a murder, or none of her people did. She didn't order the murder, she didn't do it herself, and basically it's done in a way that Harry can't refuse. So in each of the courts, there's winter and summer, and in each one there are 3 queens. There's the lady, who is the youngest, there's the queen, and then there's I can't remember what they call them, the older. It's like it's the maiden mother crone thing. So in this one, yeah, it was 2. You got to meet all 3 of them pretty much. But each court has a knight, and that is a mortal man who is given power by the fairy courts in order to help be their champion kind of thing. Well, someone has murdered the Summer Knight.
Oh no.
Okay, so Summer is blaming Winter for doing it, and they're gonna go to war. And so Mab is trying to clear her name and not go to war, and Harry has to prove that she didn't do it. In the meantime, there's a side plot of a young girl that's been kidnapped, and Harry has to figure out what happened to her. So, and as per usual, all the subplots in the book all tie together in the end. Okay, the number 5, we have Death Masks, and this one, Harry is hired to locate the Shroud of Turin that has been stolen from, yeah. So we find out some of the coolest characters come in this book, and they're called the Denarians, and it's really cool in that, you know, when Judas betrayed Jesus, he was given 30 pieces of silver. So the Denarians are 30 people who have accepted a coin from, they call them the Fallen. So you assume that they're like demons, right? Mm-hmm. The fallen angels. And so they have the 30 coins. And so when they offer one of these coins, each coin is inhabited by a fallen. And when you accept the coin, the fallen possesses you, basically. Okay? Which I think is really cool. And there's like Nicodemus, who is kind of the leader of this group. He always has this string necktie, but it's tied like a noose, because Judas hung himself.
That's awesome.
So there's all these little like details in there that are really cool, but they're like super overpowered, you know. And anyway, in past books we saw the Knights of the Sword, which was Michael Carpenter. A little on the nose on that one, but I remember they're called Knights of the Sword. There's 3 of them in the world, and in the swords that they have, they're super holy swords. Worked into the hilt of the sword is one of the nails from Jesus. So that's the lore of that. So Harry is teaming up with them again to try and track down these Denarians who are trying to get their hands on the shroud. So he's also trying to track down the group of people that stole them. There's weird murders that are going on. And on top of all that, Harry's ex-girlfriend, who in a past book had something happen to her, has come back into town.
Oh, Lord.
And he has to deal with that. And I mean, I can't say because that'll spoil. Like, I think it was book number 2. But Susan was her name, Susan Rodriguez. I never liked her anyway. She got what was coming to her, basically, because she just was, it was dumb. It was dumb. It was a dumb thing for her character to do. For her character who was supposedly so smart. Whatever. So Harry has to deal with all of that too. So then, book number 6 is Blood Rights. And in this one, Harry is hired to protect an adult film director.
Nice.
So he has to, as his undercover, he's a production assistant on a porn film, making a porn film. So, but it isn't this director who is in danger, but it's like all the women around him. And Harry quickly figures out that somebody has laid this massive curse down that it strikes each one of these. So Harry has to try and protect all of them. And in the process, there's another character that has been in past books named Thomas. There's 3 different kinds of vampires in this book. There's the Black Court, the Red Court, and the White Court. And Thomas is the White Court, and they are the succubuses and the incubuses. So, of course, on an adult film. But Thomas is friends with the director, and he's the one that hires Harry to come in. And then through all of this and getting involved in White Court business, Harry finds out something unexpected about his deceased mother. So, and then we have, oh, and by the way, number 5, Death Masks, when his girlfriend comes back, that's the one that has the scene that I really hate. You know, I've talked before about the treatment of women and the male gaze. Like, every time he sees a woman, the first thing he notices, like, the size of her breasts. Or the first thing that is mentioned is how attractive she is or isn't. It's just, yeah. And so that has a scene in it that I just cannot. I cannot. But at the same time, he brought in all of this lore about the 30 pieces of silver and the Denarians, and I was like, all right, well, that pretty much balanced it out for me. So, okay. Anyway, okay, then in Deadbeat, this is the one I was so excited. I was so waiting for. So in this one, a Black Court vampire who is Harry's enemy, because basically the Wizards of the White Court, which Harry is a part of, are at war with the vampires, and Harry started it. I'll just say that by something he did in a previous book. So they're all gunning for Harry, and there's been multiple times in the series so far where it's specifically the Red Court, but the other vampire courts are allying with them. But the Red Court has come out and said basically to the White Council that if you give us Harry, then we'll call all this off. So if you sacrifice him, pretty much, yeah. You know. Anyway, so this Black Court vampire named Marva comes to Harry and doesn't so much hire him as blackmail him. She has photographs of his police friend Karen Murphy doing some illegal things and helping Harry, because not obviously with the supernatural, not everything is above the board. And Karen is the head of the Special Investigations Department of the police, which is in charge of checking out all the spooky stuff. But in order to take care of things, she can't exactly go by the book. Well, Marva has photographic evidence of her not going by the book. And she's basically saying, I am going to release this if you don't do what I say. And so Harry decides, Karen is out of town on a vacation, and so Harry decides he's going to take care of this. He's not going to tell her anything. He's going to take care of it because it's his fault. Everything's always Harry's fault.
Poor Harry, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything remotely that he has to do with, if something goes bad for somebody he cares about, he is just like all in, I'm taking care of this. So anyway, she wants this book called The Word of Kemmler. And Kemmler was a dark magic necromancer. So we're talking zombies, people.
Heck yeah.
We're talking many kinds of zombies.
Oh, heck yeah.
And so, yeah. So there are about, what was it, five disciples of Kemmler who are in Chicago looking for this book and also looking for this other book. It's a book in German, but it is about the Earl King, who is like the Wild Hunt, right? So they're trying to summon this guy for reasons for the big spell, to get all the power, and they were basically gonna become a little god if they can call up all these ghosts and zombies and stuff. So anyway, this has my favorite scene in it at the end, and so I can't say anything about it because it will spoil it, but all I'm going to say is zombie dinosaur. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
Oh my god. I have to read
So,
this book.
The last book that I read is Proven Guilty. And in this book, I can't remember. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this one you would probably somewhat like too. So Harry gets a call from, I mentioned Michael before, Michael Carpenter, Michael's oldest daughter, Molly. And she needs help. She tells Harry that she's in jail. And she's kind of been a rebel child, but she like hides it. Like, there's a scene in a previous book where Harry's hiding out at their house and he's in their tree house. And Molly comes home from school and she's all gothed out. And she climbs up the tree house so she can change into her proper Catholic school uniform before she goes in the house.
Nice.
So she's been something of a rebel child. Well, in this book, Harry finds out that basically Molly has really gone for it, and she has run away, not really run away, like her parents know where she's at, but she's left home basically. But she's in jail and she needs Harry to come bail her out, and he's like, why don't you call your dad? Oh, you can't call my dad. Gets down there and finds out it's not Molly that's in jail, it's her boyfriend Nelson.
Oh, Nelson.
So in doing all of this and Harry giving her the riot act and all this, he finds out that Nelson and Molly are involved in helping run a horror show convention that's in town. Yes, it's called SplatterCon.
Someone make this a reality, please.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes. Well, we find out that Nelson has been arrested and was in jail because an older man was like half beaten to death. And the only person found in the bathroom with this old man was Nelson. And Nelson is saying, it wasn't me.
It's a ghost.
It's the ghost. It's a ghost. So, I don't think it'd be a spoiler because it happens very early on. Harry starts to investigate and finds out that the monsters from the horror films are basically coming to life and stalking people. And then he finds out that something a little odd is going on with Molly. And he has to step in and help save Molly. Yeah.
Am I about to read 8 books so that I can read the story?
Well, and I will say the first 2 to 3 are meh. They're good. I liked them, but it's my genre.
Yeah.
For you, But once you get past that, things do start to ramp up. You're starting to get into vampire wars. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty bloody stuff that goes down, like with the Denarians, and yeah.
Oh.
Going in the Never Never where weird things happen, and the Wild Hunt goes on, and Harry is now on the Wild Hunt's hit list, and so, and zombie dinosaurs.
Zombie dinosaurs.
So anyway, yeah. Weird horror movie stuff is going down, but it's starting to link back to black magic workings, which Harry has been warned of, but so he was kind of trying to look out for this warning of black magic, which then this deal with the horror show, so he thinks those are linked, that it's black magic bringing these monsters to life and blah blah blah. Anyway, the books do get better. I feel like the farther along, and maybe it's just you start to get Stockholm syndrome because after a while the male gaze is still there. I mean, he sees his friend's 17-year-old daughter, and one of the first thoughts is how grown up she is. And it's just like, and of course he's like, in his, you know, in his head, he doesn't say anything and he doesn't act anything. But it's like, you know, then he like mentally slaps himself, and you know, it's just a weird, he has a weird way of looking at women. And at the same time, he's always talking to himself about how he has this outdated idea of chivalry. Like, you know, you feel like treat a lady like a lady, open doors and things like that. But yet the first thing that he zeroes in on is the size of their chests. And it's like, and yeah, I'm like, literally everybody's a damn bombshell. You know, it's just, and that is a very black and white noir detective thing. Mm-hmm. You know, every woman in there is a bombshell. But it does get a little old. But I will say, in Harry's real relationships with people, he is very, very good to his friends. And like I said, when he cares about somebody, he is all in and will do whatever he has to do to protect them, you know, and help them. And he is just, when he cares about somebody, he is like at your back all the time. And so whether it's a man or a woman or whatever, and he is really good in his actions about treating the female characters as equals and allowing them to have their agency. He's never trying to like butt in, and if he does, it's an overprotectiveness, like, I can't tell you all this because I don't want you to get in any deeper than you already are kind of thing, rather than a you can't do this because you're a woman.
Gotcha. That
kind of thing. So in his actual actions, in his relationships, he's better than he is in his head.
That's good.
I will say that.
That's good.
And he has a cat. He has a great big bobtail gray cat called Mister.
Oh, Mister.
Yeah, and he has a dog that he accidentally adopted named Mouse.
Nice.
So anyway, I enjoy him. I like the magic in this. It is not a woo-woo magic. It's very based on rules, and there's science involved because he's always making potions. And he's got his sidekick, Bob the Skull, and, you know, who's this snarky, like, oversexed spirit thing that resides in a skull. So that's a character that's always in there. And it's funny because even though Harry comes across in his actions as very tough, he actually, like, in his head, he's always going, ah! So it's really funny that, you know, he is not, even though the people around him, and he is a very powerful wizard, and he scares people, in his own mind, he's just like this nerd.
Nice.
So it's an interesting character, and the stories are interesting, and I think they're pretty inventive for different ways to use the magic and the situations that Harry gets into, and Harry gets beat up a lot. This man. It's a good thing he heals well and has magical people that can help him heal, because he gets the shit kicked out of him on a regular basis.
Oh.
Regularly. So, anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to make it up to book, I think 17, because 18 is coming out later this year. He says, Jim Butcher has always said there will be 20 books in this series, and then there will be a final apocalyptic trilogy for the end.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
and
added book 1 to my TBR.
Okay, there you go. As much as these are like, you know, mystery PI kind of romp things, there's some dark shit that goes on in these books too. So, I'm just saying. So yeah, but I would say probably the first 2, maybe 3 are not going to be your thing.
Okay.
So
truck on through.
Truck on through.
Keep going, it gets better.
And then I think, well, definitely number 4 is the Summer Knight gets murdered and the fairy war. He has to find out who it is, or the 2 courts are going to go to war, and it will cause like cataclysmic climate change for the world.
Nice.
Yeah. So that one I think was really good. Up to that point, definitely the first 2 were not for me. And number 3 was pretty weak for me too, but it had Susan in it. I don't like Susan. Never did like Susan. Although number 2 does introduce the werewolf pack. The Dungeons and Dragons playing.
Oh my gosh.
Werewolf pack.
I forgot about them.
Billy and the wolves.
Billy.
The alphas. They call themselves the alphas.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Anyway, that was all. That was it for me.
Oh man. Okay, on to my books. So 13 by Steve Kavanaugh, I don't think I have to talk about, because I think our live stream discussion for this book worked.
It did show up, I think.
I think so. So I don't need to talk about it, but the basic thing of the book is that there is a murder trial happening, and the actual killer finds a way to put himself onto the jury for the trial.
Yeah.
And that's about it. It wasn't very well done, I didn't think, but that's okay. They can't all be winners.
No, it's a cool premise, but
Yeah,
it just was a little too far-fetched.
Yeah, just a smidge. I like my detective stories to be a little bit more based within reality. If you're gonna have it set in the real world, then I want it to be based more into reality and not something quite so far-fetched as like what was going on in that book.
Yeah.
There's no way that any of that would be possible.
Yeah. No. But what did we say? This was the 3rd book with the same main character?
I think so. So, I mean,
it's very self-contained. It's a it stands alone,
right.
But the main character is the same.
Yeah,
and we did wonder if we'd like him.
Eddie Flynn.
Yeah, I didn't like him.
I mean, he wasn't terrible in this book. I do think that it might be one of those where the more you read,
he kind of grows on you.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. But in just this one book, you could take or leave him.
Yeah.
Okay, the next book that I read, the only other book that I read, was Keep It in the Family by John Mars. This is a thriller book about a husband and wife who buy their first home. It's like a fixer-upper, and as they're renovating it and trying to turn it into their dream home, like whatever, they find in the attic these suitcases, and inside of the suitcases are the bodies of different children that someone had killed at some point.
Oh.
Yeah, and like in front of each suitcase is a little pile of the clothes that the kids were wearing, and it's just all folded. And so there's the clothes, and then there's the suitcase with the body of a kid in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Which that was a twist I was not expecting. It always throws me off when books go quite that dark. Yeah. Because, you know, that's a lot. And it went even farther because we had a POV from the killer, where he was like stalking his victim at one point.
Ooh.
And like how he killed his victim and thing. Like it went a little far.
The child.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it went a little far
Yeah.
for me. Yeah. And overall the book was just like really, really slow. Like it drug on and not a whole lot happened. I definitely didn't have any of that like thriller feeling, like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen, or like, is he gonna get caught, like who is this, because you knew who it was. It was predictable. I saw who was the killer like way before the end, and I'm like, you dumb bitches. It's right here, like literally. And yeah, and I could not relate to like the female main character, because we had a POV from her, we had a POV from the husband, and then we had a POV from the killer. Oh, then we also had a POV from the mother-in-law and father-in-law. We had a lot of different POVs happening,
I guess,
throughout this book. Yeah, and I could not for the life of me relate to the wife. She was a lot. The husband was a piece of shit. The mother-in-law was a bitch. And the father-in-law, well, he was something else. And yeah. I didn't like it. There was too much family drama happening that was just not important to the story. They tried to make it important, but it was just like the stupidest things about how much the mother-in-law hated the wife, and it wasn't the girl that she wanted him to marry, and she wanted him to marry this other girl, and she just, because she was perfect, and the one he actually chose to marry was just like, I don't know, it was just dumb. A lot of that kind of drama that
there
I don't
are
like.
children in suitcases, people. I think there's other things to worry about.
Yeah, there are much bigger issues going on here. But yeah, so we focused on that a bit. And then we got towards the end of the book, and you just get, like, nothing happened for 80% of the book, and then that 20% you get like twist, 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 twist. Which, not that they weren't like, some of them were just so unrealistic. Like, they were so far-fetched, and it's like, you are literally just throwing this in here just to throw it in here, because this does not make any sense. And it's like, there's no way in heaven that like all of these things would be happening.
All right, Riley Sager.
Yes. Yes. It was very much like that. I'm like, oh, what? That was my reaction. It wasn't like an, oh my god, what? It was like a, what?
Another one?
Huh? How is this happening? What?
Why? Why is this happening?
Yeah. So that was something. And the epilogue was the best part of the book, but it wasn't very good. So if that tells you anything.
So that tells you.
Yeah, like the epilogue actually had things happening, and it wasn't good things, but yeah, I don't know. I gave it 3 stars, which, you know, you wouldn't guess I gave it 3 stars because of how I was describing it. That's really high for how I just described it. I don't know. It wasn't terrible. Like, there were some things that were good, like when they, like, leading up to them finding the suitcases, and like, because they didn't come out and say right away like what was in those suitcases. Like, it kind of did drag that out, and that part was like, oh my god, like what is happening? And then you had like some scenes where you were trying to, like, the wife was trying to figure it out and put all the pieces together and things, and so those scenes were good. Like, you knew that there was something going on and you were trying to figure it out, but then like once I figured out who the killer was, everything after that was just like, okay, well now I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was one thing at the end though too that I was just like I literally just had to sit there for a minute, because I'm like, she did what? What? So there was one good twist, at least at the end, but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't terrible. I think that if you're someone who, like, maybe you don't read a ton of thrillers, like you like thrillers but you don't read a ton of them, or you're more of like a mainstream reader, like whatever, like this would be a good book for you. It'd be quick. Just be prepared for the child murders, because all of that's a lot.
Yeah.
The very start of the book, though, was actually pretty good. Because it was just like a scene from the past. And you didn't figure out it was a scene from the past till later in the book, but like it was good. It got me intrigued from the start. So, yeah. I mean, not the worst book that I've ever read, but will I read from John Mars again? Probably not. Probably not. That was my April reading.
There we go.
Woo!
All right.
Well, then that means that's going to do it for us today with our April wrap-ups.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys enjoyed watching this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go on down below that video and hit the little red subscribe button. Join the Everyday Adventure family. We finally hit 1,000 subscribers.
Yay!
Woohoo! So, yeah!
Hell yeah!
Thank you to everyone who has subscribed and joined the family. The family.
The family. I still want to get the t-shirts saying, welcome to the family.
Yes, we need the t-shirts.
We need the t-shirts.
And if you want even more content from us, you can go and follow us over on our TikTok and Instagram as well.
And while you're doing all that, make sure you check out the rest of Amy's channel, because like she said, there's more than just book content, although there is a whole lot of book content to go back and look on if you want. But there's other things like travel, there's cooking, there is home renovations, there is decorating, there's holiday stuff, and there's kitties running around everywhere. So go look at all that. And if you still want more, you can go check out her blog, which has other features like Watch It Wednesdays and Foodie Fridays. So check it all out and become a part of the entire Everyday Adventurer family. Welcome to the family.
Alrighty. Well, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. And I'm Amy.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the Everyday Epic. We'll see y'all in the next one.
Peace.
Bye. I think I just forgot that we were doing a book video.
That's okay.
What am I even sitting here? What are we talking about?